From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Caroline Lynch. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, a look at our top sports stories, from how Kobe Bryant impacted women's basketball to the expansion of esports to high schools.
It's LGBTQ Lobby Day at the state capitol, and activists are pushing legislators to take a stand against a bill that would ban transgender athletes from competing in women's sports.
CJ Chidas talked with one former professional athlete who's showing her support. CJ?
I was able to observe the training where people learn the process of what it takes to become a lobbyist, so they can meet with lawmakers to try and turn the tide against this bill.
Of course, this is like a wind sail.
Christiana Hammond has a busy day ahead of her. As the director of finance at the organization Equality Arizona, she actually deals with a lot more than just dollar signs.
And we have set up appointments with various representatives that represent their particular district. And the community members will meet with each one of them and talk about certain issues that we have on the agenda this year.
This agenda includes the recent proposal of House Bill 2706. Republican Representative Nancy Bardo introduced what she's called the Save Women's Sports Act. If it passes, all interscholastic and intramural leagues in Arizona would ban transgender female athletes from competing in female sports.
It's highly discriminatory, and it's based out of fear, based out of a lack of understanding, and that is why, again, we are here. The main reason we're here is to educate the legislators.
Andrew Morrison is the father of 11-year-old Marilyn. She came out as transgender 5 years ago, and since then, Morrison said it's been a transition they've all had to go through as a family.
My wife and I have kind of developed, not developed, but adopted kind of a mantra, which is we circle the wagons and you're either inside the wagon circle or you're not. And it's as blunt as that, just because this is our daughter we're speaking of.
The topic of discussion is personal for those in attendance at the event. Bobby Lancaster understands Bardo's perspective when it comes to her proposed bill, but the former professional golfer believes current policies regarding the issue are already doing their job.
Sporting organizations have wrestled with this, and they've come up with very fair-minded policies. And that's the International Olympic Community, the NCAA, even our own AIA here in Arizona, have very reasonable policies to make sure that that playing field is as level as possible.
Once the lobbyists against 2706 conclude their meetings today and speak to the representatives, including Speaker of the House Rusty Bowers, tomorrow the bill will be presented to the House floor, where it will then be decided whether or not it should move forward for further amendments and eventual approval. In the newsroom, CJ Chidas, Cronkite News.
As spring training games are set to begin this week in Florida and right here in Arizona, outrage continues to grow in Major League Baseball surrounding the Houston Astros and their sign stealing scandal. Commissioner Rob Manfred believes that he has never seen so many players so outspoken about other players, but he thinks he knows why.
This activity relates to the play of the game on the field in a way that is tangible for our fans and has touched a chord of unfairness with our players that has made it a very big story.
Cleveland Indians manager Terry Francona agrees with Manfred's thoughts and feels this scandal is different than ones in years past.
Over the years, some of the things in baseball have almost been romanticized. You know, guys getting binoculars and trying to steal signs from bullpens. This seems like it kind of crossed the line a little bit, and I don't think that someday you're going to hear people, like I say, romanticizing it. That's probably the difference.
You know, what's come out, it was affected ultimately who won the World Series, and so I think that, you know, there's certain things that have happened in individual, as far as the steroid kind of era, but sports fans look at moments, they look at past champions, and for that to be kind of affected in any capacity, yeah, there's certainly going to be attention drawn to it.
Dave Roberts and the Dodgers lost to the Astros in the now tainted 2017 World Series, and the feelings are pretty raw amongst its players. Dodgers star Cody Bellinger says all of Major League Baseball has lost complete respect for the Astros and their players.
Perry High School's Mariah Gramza has been a part of many firsts for girls wrestling in Arizona.
Brandon Jensen went to Perry to find out about the impact Gramza has made and what she still has to accomplish.
From jiu-jitsu to judo to wrestling, Mariah Gramza has always had a knack for combat sports, but nothing has a place in her heart like wrestling does.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much I love wrestling, I'd probably say like a 10 just because it really brings me joy.
The AIA sanctioned their first girls wrestling championship last year, and Gramza was Perry's first representative.
I tried so hard and like it really crushed me that I like lost, but this year I feel like I'm working harder. I'm looking forward to, I already know that I can make it there. I just need to, I've like motivated myself to tell myself that I'm gonna win. I have to win, like this is something that I want to do.
Despite the uphill battles, Mariah's high school career has been marked by tournament wins and historic firsts. But there's still one win that eludes her, and that's winning a state championship.
We gave her a challenge this year and said, hey, if you want to be a state champion and that's what you want to do, you want to win matches, you need to hit 2 practices, you need to go above and beyond everyone else. And she didn't skip a beat, she took it in stride and said, absolutely.
Whether or not her high school career ends with a state championship, Gramza's influence is already showing at Perry.
I think it's going to help build the program. Our girl program here at Perry is slowly building. We had 5 this year, and it spurs from Mariah.
That's the reason I wanted to join, actually, because I knew we didn't have very many girls, and I just wanted to get other girls to join and maybe overtake wrestling one day.
With her days at Perry coming to a close, Gramza hopes that the other girls will continue to show each other the same love she showed them. In Gilbert, Brandon Jensen, Cronkite News.
This year, Girls Wrestling Championship will be on February 14th and 15th at Findlay Toyota Center in Prescott.
Esports has seen steady growth at the collegiate and professional levels, but now it's expanding to high schools as well. Cronkite News reporter Zach Gallman takes a look at how the growth has spread to Arizona schools.
What was once labeled as a pastime activity has become a chance for students to take their talents and represent their schools. The Arizona Interscholastic Association last fall officially gave students a chance to compete in an organized esports league and play for a state title.
Really the biggest thing for us was to get those students that typically would go home and be playing these games and be able to come to their schools and play in that team setting so that they could compete in esports.
This past January, the AIA held an esports state championship, closing what was considered a successful first season.
We knew once that competition got started, it was going to be a success. Just looking at the crowd that showed up, supporting their team, their school, no different than we see in other sports that we put on.
One of the biggest takeaways overall was the exposure for the kids and the sport itself.
I was really happy that the AIA decided to have it out in public so that people could actually come and watch it. I think it has a really great visibility for the sport in its first season.
With any new thing coming into play, though, there are always some obstacles to overcome.
It's taken a little while for it to catch on. Also, the organization of it is a little bit difficult because every school has to sort of manage how they're going to do it on their own.
Brophy College Preparatory is just one of many schools to participate in the first season. And after becoming the first state champion, they're not just excited for themselves, they're excited for the rest of the esports community in the area.
And I think just more broadly in Arizona, I think more and more adults are like coming around to the idea that, esports is a real thing that kids are passionate about.
The AIA feels they have taken a step towards progressing esports, and with the spring season approaching, schools like Brophy are hopeful this continues. In Phoenix, Zach Gallman, Cronkite News.
The spring season starts February 17th, finishing off the first full academic school year of esports for the AIA.
Basketball is a sport that reaches all corners of the world, and it's one of the 21 sports the Special Olympics participates in.
A few months ago, Southern California celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Special Olympics by kicking off their fall games. Cronkite News reporter Scott Rowe from our LA Bureau was in Fountain Valley, California to showcase the impact of the Special Olympics.
I've been with Special Olympics for 15 years. My son, who's 29, has been in there for the 15 years as well. He's completely reliant on Special Olympics. This is his main source of getting out in the world. And Special Olympics has really helped him learn to communicate and play well with others.
Being unified with other athletes other than the team athletes. And I think that just adds excitement and fun to the Special Olympics. Athletes who just play in their individual sports.
I find that a lot of these athletes, when they're with one classification of people, maybe more on the special side versus being with, the average, person, they'll actually become a little bit higher functioning when, you integrate.
It just makes me really proud of myself, working hard with my teammates, making new friends.
The way people come out to support the Special Olympics is motivating to the athletes. And that's, I think, half the reason the athletes play their sport is to be cheered on by the fans. And they're not always just their family members, it's the community that comes out and helps them.
It's really good for me to have a lot of support with my family and my friends.
Not only does it bring more enjoyment to them, but I think it also brings more enjoyment to your average person to learn more about, people who are disabled and to appreciate the things that you do have in life.
The Special Olympics has programs all over the country, including serving 6 divisions in the state of Arizona with more than 21,000 participants in the state.
For more information on how you can volunteer to support these athletes in Arizona, head over to their website.
When One Step Coyotes program began in 2016, it introduced the sport of ice hockey to adults with intellectual disabilities. Now, several years later, the bond between the program and the NHL club is stronger than ever. Cronkite News reporter Sean Salehi takes us to Peoria for the story.
For dozens of local adults with disabilities, AZ Ice Peoria serves as the gathering place for an activity that many didn't believe they could participate in: ice hockey. This is thanks to a program called One Step Coyotes, a part of the One Step Beyond organization, which teaches life skills to adults with intellectual disabilities. The program was founded by Jared Woosley in 2016 after he noticed that there wasn't any opportunities in Arizona for those with intellectual disabilities to play the sport he loves.
Go, my Borak! Hockey was just one of those things that we noticed was missing. There wasn't really a place in Arizona where you could play. There wasn't really a spot for them. So we made our own.
The program has grown in size each year, and Woosley is happy to see that his favorite sport is bringing people from across the valley together.
Our program, we service over 600 individuals in the valley, so we have 4 locations, and it's a pretty large organization. So just seeing that hockey's bringing together a lot of people that normally wouldn't have a chance to spend their days together has really created long-lasting friendships.
One member who loves the camaraderie of the team is third-year player Michael Watts, who serves as an alternate captain for the squad.
It just builds a family, I think. It builds a family in everybody else. And sometimes you'll start off not as a family, but then you'll work your problems way through it on the ice, off the ice, and just become a family, I guess.
The One Step Coyotes program wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for their strong relationship with the Arizona Coyotes, who view the program as a unique way to help grow the sport of hockey here in the Valley.
It's an avenue to grow the game of hockey through something that you would, for lack of a better term, an unorthodox method. When people start thinking of growing the game, they don't normally think of kids with special needs, sled hockey, that sort of stuff. They think kindergartners, 5-year-olds, how do we get them to play? And it's like, no, you can start at any age, you can start at any level. This is proof that hockey is for everybody.
And the second that anyone found out that we were doing this, of course, everyone came to support. When it came to gear, helping the guys with ice time, sticks, tickets to the game, all that stuff. And the Coyotes have been there to support us in every step of the way. It's been a really, really amazing partnership.
The Coyotes' continued support of the One Step organization allows the program to continue its mission to show that hockey is truly for everyone. In Peoria, Sean Salehi, Cronkite News.
Good goal!
The One Step organization has recently started a hockey program in San Jose and hopes to expand to other cities across the country in the coming months.
The wrestling mat. It's a place where you'll find plenty of men, but not so many women. But Mackenzie Pavicic sat down with a couple of women hoping to help change that.
It's never easy to be the first to do something, even with my own career. Like, you were the first to wrestle for ASU, and that's great and all, but there were days where it wasn't so great.
In 2007, Kelsey Campbell became the first female wrestler on Arizona State University's roster. But it wasn't about being the first. It was about being her best.
At the time, I was kind of struggling with structure from a scholastic standpoint and a wrestling standpoint, and I felt like if I try out for the team, I have nothing to lose.
So she did, and by becoming one of the very few women to ever walk on to a Division I roster, Campbell helped pioneer a decades-long effort to bring women's wrestling to the same stage as the men. But like any trailblazing effort, not without a little struggle.
Being accepted, feeling part of the team, finding that place where you understand that the success that you may have in the room is going to be gauged a little different. I would think that those are some of the issues.
Like many other Sun Devil greats, when Kelsey's ASU career came to an end, she wanted to continue on to her dream of becoming an Olympic champion. But in order to be able to do so, she had to find somewhere to train where she had access to more female training partners. So Campbell made the decision to move to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. But as popularity in the sport, especially among women, continues to grow, Campbell is now able to train for the Olympics back in her home gym thanks to a concept called regional training centers.
We took the center up in Colorado Springs where you had 3 coaches, and now we have many, many coaches across the country.
So RTCs give women like Marley Smith a place to train if they don't want to attend a school traditionally meant for women's wrestling.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Smith says she decided to come to ASU because it was the best place for her to train and to study family and human development, even if that meant having to wrestle in a room filled mostly with men.
A lot of the schools that I was checking out didn't have that major, and the women wrestling schools were just in the middle of nowhere. They were small. I just loved it here.
Smith started as an RTC athlete, but now she follows in the footsteps of wrestlers like Campbell. She even gets to share the mat with her.
She's not just like, oh, she wrestles and she wants to join the team. Like, it was more like she's really trying to do something big.
Smith says she's not stopping at breaking into a men's roster. She hopes to help ASU become the first Division I school to have a women's wrestling program.
Having the guys is obviously a good thing and it helps me a lot, but it would be better if there were other women here.
And the future of women wrestling at the Division I level?
Some say 5, some say 10. I've had some conversations, they think as early as next year. And there's a lot of questions as far as a facility, coaches, Title IX numbers depending on your school. I think those are a lot of questions that still have to be answered.
While those answers are being found, women will continue to work toward passing the torch to the next generation of female wrestlers with hopes that they can compete at the Division I level. In Tempe, Mackenzie Pavicic, Cronkite Sports Report.
Finally tonight, ASU's golf program is known for being successful, and one future Sun Devil believes she can meet the program's high standards. I talked to Xavier Prep's Ashley Meny on making the transition to Tempe. The drive to win begins with a swing. And Xavier College preparatory senior Ashley Meny has success in spades.
I just like winning, so that's about it.
The star Xavier Gator committed to the ASU women's golf program back in 2018. While playing as a Sun Devil will certainly be harder than high school, Many doesn't sound fazed by the transition.
I don't think other than that it's going to be any different from what I usually do on like a daily basis. Like I go practice, I get like instruction, from my coaches and stuff. And I play golf in tournaments and stuff.
It's easy for many to speak casually about golf when she is a 4-time Junior Golf Association of Arizona Girls Player of the Year and won 8 out of 16 JGAA events during 2019.
She has great composure. Her mood does not change on the golf course, whether she hits a bad shot or a good shot. And sometimes you never know how she's doing till you actually talk to her.
Just like it's always a different challenge when you play golf because you're always like, you could hit a good shot and it'll end up bad. It's always different. And you kind of just got to like go in with like a constant mindset of, I can do this.
With 3 state titles at Xavier plus a 4.0 GPA since her sophomore year, there's little reason to doubt Many's championship potential in Tempe. Many will also be among several Xavier alumni to play for ASU women's golf, including the current head coach, Missy Farquet.
Phoenix is a home for many talented athletes, musicians, and well-known celebrities.
One country music star whose roots run deep with Phoenix, Dirk Bentley.
Cronkite News reporter Kirsten Korns caught up with the country star at Waste Management Phoenix Pro-Am.
This year's 2020 Waste Management Phoenix Open brought thousands of guests from all over the country. One guest in attendance who not only is a native to the Valley but holds the Thunderbirds close to his heart, Dirk Bentley.
Just always an honor to be invited to come do the gig, and then I somehow get roped into doing the golf part, which I'm not much of a golfer.
Growing up in Phoenix in a non-musical family, Bentley picked up a guitar in his teens before making it big in Nashville. But his Arizona roots and connection to the Waste Management Phoenix Open run deep. His late father, Leon, was a member of the nonprofit group behind the Phoenix Open.
Dad was a Thunderbird, and he loved the organization, loved the guys, loved the hang. Of course, raised a bunch of money for great causes around the Valley.
He was just a really, like we all are. He was involved in the community and cared about, something bigger than himself. And so, every Thunderbird, regardless of what your job is and kind of what your career as a Thunderbird is, at the end of the day, we share that same core value.
Dirk said he tries to come back to the tournament that has meant so much to him and his family every couple of years. Last week, he played in the Pro-Am and then performed to a sell-out crowd at the Coors Light Bird's Nest.
The Bird's Nest is such a fun room. There's no other place like it. It's such a unique environment, a lot of happy people, and it's this awesome tent.
Friends with, a lot of Thunderbirds, and we all love him to death, and we couldn't be more excited to have him back. He feels like it's just like he's one of us.
The Thunderbirds said they raised a record-breaking $14 million this year for local charities. As for Dirk Bentley, he and his band hit the road and continue his 2020 tour starting February 14th in Las Vegas. In the studio, Kirsten Korns, Cronkite News.
Majuk Dang, Juk for short, is a first-year basketball player for Pepperdine University and has a special connection to Arizona and the game.
A former AZ Central All-Arizona team member in 2019, this Tucson grad is making waves in Malibu. Reporter Kyla Wilcher from our LA bureau caught up with him.
Watching Majuk Dang in practice, it's easy to see he loves basketball. A native of South Sudan, Dang moved to the States as a child, settling in Tucson with his family. He picked up basketball at a neighborhood court after moving to the States, going on to lead South Point Catholic High School to the state semifinals his senior year, wearing number 22.
The reason why I wear 22, that's because the morning we woke up in America, January 22nd, and plus that's what my older brother always told me to wear, because he said it was the best thing for the family, and to honor us being in America, it's kind of like a blessing.
Number 22 represents life in America and life lost. Dang wears it to honor his late older brother, who was fatally shot in March 2018.
So now, I feel like 22 just means much more than just a number to me. He's grown with me, and I think he's still there.
While Dang redshirts his freshman year, he's still impressing head coach Lorenzo Romar. Romar coached at Arizona from 2017 to 2018. While in Tucson, he learned about Dang and was happy to bring the guard to Malibu with him.
When we first took the job at Pepperdine, we're just kind of evaluating what was out there, who we could possibly get, and we thought of Majuk, if it would be possible, if we could get him to come to Pepperdine. And at the end of the day, it all worked out.
Majuk is not the only Dang playing ball. His cousin is Luol Dang, a two-time NBA All-Star who retired this year. But Majuk doesn't feel pressure from this family legacy.
I try to be a bit distant with him because I'm trying to make my own name.
Whether that be in basketball or beyond.
Majuk Dang is going to impact the world somewhere. There's no doubt about it.
Basketball is, like I said, it's a key for me to open doors. And it's just going to continue to give me life after. I think it's going to definitely help me go back home and lay down a foundation that's going to help the kids behind me come up.
Beyond basketball, Majuk hopes to become a lawyer with a focus on international aid.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News Tonight. Thank you for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Ready to watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere, on nearly any device? It's easy with the free PBS Video app. Simply download the PBS Video app on your mobile or streaming device. Now you can watch the latest PBS episodes or catch up on the shows you missed, discover new favorites from PBS, and local content from your PBS station.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News.
Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.